online, on the TuneIn app, and on your smart speaker. Play Shock Radio.
This is Shock
News.
Sunday the 15th of February. I'm Alfie Mulcahy with your Shock News update at 10 to 11. Donald Trump has accused Keir Starmer of what he calls joining wars after we've already won. His comments come despite the government making plans to prepare an aircraft carrier for operations in the Middle East. The US president says it's not needed.
You mean the offer to send 2 aircraft carriers? Maybe, but they're not sure. I just put out a response to them. I said, we don't need them. It's not the right time. It would have been nice to have had them 2 weeks ago.
Meanwhile, Mr. Trump insists he wants a say in Iran's new leader. Officials in the country will reportedly meet today to make a decision. Sticking with the Middle East, and the Conservatives think it was a dereliction of duty to leave Cyprus undefended. The UK has 2 military bases there, and the island was targeted by Iranian attacks this week. Aircraft carrier HMS Prince of Wales has been put on heightened alert in expectation of being sent to the region. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp says the UK should be joining the US-Israeli action against Tehran.
Iranian military installations are being used to launch missiles at British targets and at targets in other countries around the Gulf, like the UAE, Oman and others. And we should be actively seeking to destroy the military installations on Iranian soil.
Shock News Update.
The Conservatives say they'd let police dole out immediate justice for low-level offences and crack down on cannabis if they returned to power. They're also pledging to recruit 10,000 extra officers in England and Wales, triple the use of stop and search, and expand live facial recognition, Labour says the Tories decimated neighbourhood policing and left the criminal justice system on the verge of collapse. The UK is marking annual COVID Day of Reflection, 6 years after the start of the pandemic. It's a chance to remember those who died, as well as the work of frontline staff and volunteers. Ceremonies are taking place across the country. The TUC is claiming women will benefit especially from new workers' rights. The union organisation claims 4.7 million will receive boosted sick pay from April, including 830,000 getting SSP for the first time. General Secretary Paul Nowak has said the Employment Rights Act is an important step forward for women at work. Now let's get this morning's sport news with Dan Windle from the Sky Sports Centre.
British driver George Russell secured a dominant victory at the Australian Grand Prix in the opening race of the F1 season. The 28-year-old finished ahead of Mercedes teammate Kimi Antonelli, while Ferrari's Charles Leclerc picked up third place. Lewis Hamilton was fourth. McLaren's world champion Lando Norris finished fifth, just ahead of Red Bull's Max Verstappen. Arsenal remain on course for 4 titles, having survived a scare at League One Mansfield to reach the last 8 of the FA Cup, thanks to a 2-1 win. The Premier League leaders are also in the last 16 of the Champions League and final of the EFL Cup. Manchester City are through to the quarter-finals for the 8th year in a row, following their 3-1 victory at Newcastle. Boss Pep Guardiola is happy with that.
It's many years we are there, and that is so good. So really pleased, because the game against Nottingham was disappointing, but the team is alive and really pleased for the game, and we'll be in the draw Monday.
Chelsea had to come from behind and needed extra time to see off Wrexham 4-2. Holders Aberdeen were dumped out of the Scottish Cup with a 3-0 defeat at Dunfermline. The Championship side who beat Hibs earlier in the competition are through to the semi-finals. There's a big clash in the last 8 between Glasgow rivals Rangers and Celtic this afternoon. England made it 2 wins from 2 in Women's World Cup qualifying with a 2-0 victory over Iceland. Scotland also continued their 100% start as they hammered Luxembourg 7-0, while Wales thrashed Montenegro 6-1. Northern Ireland have suffered back-to-back defeats as they went down 1-0 to Turkey. England's Rugby Union Six Nations campaign went from bad to worse as they lost for the first time against Italy. They were beaten 23-18 in Rome. But Scotland will head into the final weekend with a chance of winning the title after a 50-40 victory over defending champions France.
Thank you, Dan. Dan Windle with the sport there. Let's take a look at this morning's front pages. And on the front of the Mail on Sunday, former Prime Minister Tony Blair has criticised the current Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, for not supporting the US and its war in Iran. The Sunday Telegraph also leads with that story, with Sir Tony saying, He should have backed Mr. Trump from the very beginning. The Sun on Sunday leads on the death of Ian Huntley, the former school caretaker who murdered two 10-year-old schoolgirls in Soham 23 years ago. That story also features on the front of today's Sunday Mirror with the headline, "The Death of a Monster." The Daily Star on Sunday reports that inmates at the notorious Franklin prison where Huntley was an inmate cheered as they heard the news of his death. And "A special place in hell" is the headline on the front of the Sunday People. The Observer's focusing on the exodus of Dubai, and Formula One could give a boost in the arms race. That's according to the front of the Sunday Express. And finally, this morning, campaigners are calling for better safety testing for tampons to protect women's health. They've launched a petition asking the government to bring in regulations to improve labelling, testing and monitoring. Vic Fitch-Crossman is from The Time of the Month, a company which produces organic period products. She tells us that she was shocked at research carried out by the Women's Environmental Network.
They tested certain products that you could just buy off the shelf in a supermarket. All of those products came back to contain certain chemicals. One of them that really stood out was glyphosate. Essentially, glyphosate is weed killer.
Shock weather.
Cloudy today with outbreaks of rain and drizzle where the cloud thickens. Low cloud will bring in some early hill fog, but this should lift into the afternoon. Maximum temperatures of 12 degrees. That's it for now. There's more shock news online, and I'll be back with Millie Dawson at 1 o'clock for Alfie Mulcahy on Sunday. Ollie's House is next after this.
Online, on the TuneIn app,
And on your smart speaker.
Shock Radio.
Hustle.